Hey everyone, welcome to Soul Old Soul. My name is Maria Tuscan, and I'm here to share with you my April makes. So I have, I think, 4 or 5 things to share with you. I'm going to start with the one that was kind of languishing for a while. Maybe about 6 weeks. I had finished my third pair of ginger jeans, probably about 90% of the jeans, and then all I had left to do were the belt loops and the button and the buttonholes and the rivets, which I have not done the rivets yet. I'll talk more about that as well. So yeah, I'll show you. I'm actually wearing my ginger jeans, so I can't really get up and show you, but I will pop in some photos either right here or throughout this while I'm talking about it. So, I'm sure you're probably familiar with this pattern, the Ginger Jeans by Closet Case Patterns. This is my third pair, and these are definitely the best of the 3 pairs I've made. The first pair are unwearable. I mean, I can get them on, but barely, and they're super uncomfortable. Even after wearing them for like an entire day, they didn't stretch out whatsoever. So those I can't wear. The second pair I talked about, I think, a few vlogs ago, and I used just a really inexpensive fabric from Joann's, and it just, they fit pretty well. Yeah, I went a little bit overboard, I think, with the crotch adjustment. So after wearing those jeans, I wear those jeans a lot. I do like them, and yeah, I wear them all the time. They're probably my favorite pair of jeans, but I think the crotch is slightly too long, so I lengthened it. So for this pair, I still lengthened it, but about half as much. And then I also did a J crotch adjustment. So if you look on the Closet Case Files website on their sew along, there is crotch adjustments, and there's such a thing as a J crotch, which just, it's a more curved crotch, so it takes in more fabric to get rid of some of that excess fabric. Because I needed a longer crotch, but then there was just like too much fabric, so I did that, and these fit really well. I also used a really high quality denim. I used some Cone Mills denim. You've probably heard of Cone Mills if you're in the US. Cone Mills was the only factory producing denim in the US, and they recently just closed, and so everyone's kind of going crazy and buying all of the denim. But I was actually just talking to some ladies today, and they know a little bit more about it than I do, and actually there's still a lot of this denim left, so you just have to find where to buy it. I get mine from Threadbare Fabrics. They have a lot that I'm sure they must have just purchased a huge amount, and I think some other stores have it as well. So it's going to be around for a little while. And also they do have mills in China and Mexico, and I've heard that the denim from those countries, though it isn't made in the US, the denim made in those countries is actually much nicer than the ones that were being made at the factory here in the US. So I know it's not in the US and it's overseas, and we don't always know what the working conditions are like for people in these factories overseas in other countries, but it does still exist, and it is really, really nice denim. Even the stuff, the kind I have is made in the US. So yeah, I'll be popping in some photos here and probably at the end of me talking about this, but yeah, I think I lengthened the front crotch by about half an inch maybe, and then I didn't lengthen the back crotch at all, and I did on my last pair. I decided not to. I think it was a good choice. And what else? I think I cut out, I did something a little weird. I cut out a size 1, wait, a size 2, how do these sizes? Okay, I cut out a size 2 for the front pieces, and then I cut out a size 0 for the back because I wanted, I don't know, I guess I wanted the back pieces to be like really tight and snug on my butt. And it worked out. When I first put these on, I was freaking out a little bit because they were way too tight. And I've worn them all day today. I just finished them yesterday. I've worn them all day and I've been up. I actually left the house and went out and met some people, and they've definitely gotten a little bit more stretched out and comfortable throughout the day. I also did a little bit of, I got some very, very fine sandpaper and kind of sanded them a little bit. I sanded them on the inside because they were pretty stiff and scratchy on the inside, and I just didn't want to have to wear them for months before that goes away. So I tried to kind of speed up that process a little bit. I think it worked. So yeah, if that's something you want to try, I definitely find that the jeans that I've made, the fabric is nowhere near as soft as store-bought jeans. So yeah, I'm trying to think of ways to fix that. Pre-washing fabric, I mean, multiple times. I think for this pair I pre-washed the fabric like 4 or 5 times. And I know there's other things you can do. You can soak it in vinegar. So yeah, if you're interested, just Google that. There's lots of different tips that people have. So yeah, I love this pair of jeans. They fit really well. I think I finally nailed the fit, and I have a lot of denim, so I can make more. Because I don't know, it's whenever I finish a pair, it's like I feel the need to make another pair, even though I really don't need more jeans. But I do have some lighter wash denim that I want to make some Morgan jeans out of. So the Morgan jeans, also by Closet Case, are a more, they're a more classic fit jean, and they also have the button fly, and they're non-stretch denim. So the block for the pattern is slightly different because they're not supposed to be stretchy. They're just like a classic Levi's 501 jean. So yeah, that's next on my jean making list. The next thing I have to share with you guys is the first thing I made this month. So my boyfriend and I went to Southern California at the beginning of April, and the day before we left, I decided, of course, that I needed something new. So I made another, it's kind of difficult to show you with this mic here. I made another Lark tee from Grainline Studio. So just a basic t-shirt. It's a little bit wrinkled right now because it needs to be washed, and it was in my dirty laundry, which is good. It always feels really nice when, you know, I wear clothes enough that they need to be washed. So this is some cotton bamboo fabric that I got from Fancy Tiger Crafts. So I did the short sleeve version and the crew neck, And then I also decided to add this little pocket. I showed this to Garrett and he was like, oh, why don't you add a little pocket? So I did that. Next time I totally was not thinking, next time I need to add, if I do a pocket, I need to add some interfacing at the top of the pocket because it gets kind of wobbly. It is very wrinkly at the moment, so it's not normally like that, but yeah. I did kind of a big classic pocket because I just wanted it to look like a classic t-shirt, and I think it does. So I'll pop in a photo of me wearing this on the beach in California. And the next thing I made is another deer and doe Sureau dress. So in my last vlog, I showed you the first version I made with some beautiful navy floral, small floral linen lawn. So I wanted to make another one. This was kind of towards the middle of the month, and I just really wasn't feeling like sewing anything in particular. Like I just could not decide on anything. So I decided just to make something that I knew I would love and that I'd made before. So I made this version with this really pretty, it's kind of like a deep coral pink floral fabric, and I got this from Minerva Crafts, which is based in the UK, but they have a huge selection of fabric, and some of it is really reasonably priced, and the shipping wasn't bad either. So I ordered a bit of fabric from them earlier this year, and this is one of the ones I got, and I love this dress. This also is a little wrinkled at the moment because I have been wearing it a lot and it needs to be washed. Again, I did the kind of shorter 1940s sleeve length that hits about here, right above the elbow, and I made it longer. I made it even longer than my last one, and I also made the skirt full again like I did on my last one. The only thing with this one, so I did a slight adjustment based off of the first one I made. There was a little bit of extra fabric like under the bust, so I just kind of pinched that in and sewed it sort of like a little dart, where I extended the dart up to that point just below the bust, and it fits really, really well. But I don't know if it's that or if it's just the fabric is a little bit more delicate. It has a side zipper, so to get it on you have to, pull it over your head. Getting it on is fine, but getting it off, like, I have to be really, really careful. And there's definitely some strain on the zipper on the side. So I don't know if it's because of that adjustment or just this fabric is just not as sturdy, and it's really not. It's considered a cotton lawn, and that's what it said on the site, but it's not really like the other cotton lawns that I've seen, like Liberty Cotton Lawn, which is what this is, or there's Lady McElroy cotton lawns. This one is definitely not as tight of a weave. So the fabric feels more like a gingham, if you know what that feels like. It's really light and floaty, but the weave's not as tight, so it's very, very delicate fabric. Super soft, super comfortable, and the color and the print is just so perfect, and I'll definitely put in some photos here of that. And the last thing I have to share with you is it's a project I'm not completely happy with. So I'll just kind of show it here. So this is the Mito Cami by Papercut Patterns. And I made it out of this really pretty linen. It's 100% linen, and one of my friends from Ireland, she sent this to me. So it's Irish linen, made in Ireland, and I love this color. So I made this because I wanted to test out this pattern. I've been looking for a slip pattern to make my own slip to wear under dresses or skirts. And this just has a really good, it has a really deep V, so I wouldn't have to worry about, like, for example, my Sureau has kind of a deep V, and if I wore a slip like this, you wouldn't be able to see the slip. So I really like the fact that it has a deep V, and it is super deep. So I mean, this, I don't feel super comfortable wearing this. I might in like the middle of summer, you know, if I'm wearing like a swimsuit and I want to just throw something over. Yeah, it's super low cut. The construction is just a cami, but the construction was actually pretty challenging because it has these like bust cups. And then I started hand stitching the lining on the inside. It has you just sew it together, so there would be an exposed seam on the inside, but I wanted it to be really comfy because it's going to be right next to my skin. So yeah, I hand stitched it down on the inside, the lining. And yeah, it just, I guess maybe it's just because this really isn't something I would wear. I'm not super into this, but it still might be a really good slip pattern because I'm going to be wearing something over it. So like, I definitely feel like this is way too revealing for me to be comfortable in, but I think as a slip it might work. And I really want to try making a slip out of linen. So I have some like ivory colored, cream colored linen that I want to make a slip out of. So what I would do is I would just make this longer. So I would just make it into like a knee length dress. So I might do that, but I'm also thinking I might try making the Hadley top by Grainline Studio and extending that into a dress. Because it has a wider, another thing, this has like these spaghetti straps, which were a huge pain to turn inside out. So you have to sew it and then you have to turn it inside out. Yeah, that was a massive pain. I really don't want to have to do that again. So the Hadley top by Grainline Studio has a slightly wider, I mean, it's like a tank top, so it has wider, not straps, shoulders. So I think it would just be more comfortable, especially with all the weight of a skirt. This might just be too much on these little straps. So that was an experiment. We'll see once it gets really hot here. It has been kind of hot this week. Today's pretty cool, but it did get up into the 80s. So we'll see in the summer if I actually wear that top. And then I have the Hadley top coming to me. I actually had a company print it. So I had pdfplotting.com print my patterns and then send them to me. So that's the first time I've done that for PDF patterns, so we'll see how that goes. And lastly, before I forget, share with you what I'm wearing. This is a vintage pattern, I believe from the 1940s, possibly the 1930s. I think it's 40s though. This pattern here, and I got this on Etsy. And it's just a pretty basic blouse pattern. And I had showed it, I think I showed it, yeah, in my last video, but I was wearing a sweater over it because I made this in like January, so there's no way I could have just worn this. So you can see the sleeves now. You couldn't see the sleeves in the photos. But yeah, it has just gathered sleeves. Oh, another thing, talking about sleeves, on my Sureau, this one, rather than doing gathers on the top of the sleeve, I did a little inverted box pleat, and I find that doing that actually makes the sleeve kind of like poof out a little bit more squarely, like how they would have done in the 1940s, like with shoulder pads, but there's no way I'm wearing shoulder pads. Yeah. So I think, I would like to make this blouse again. I think it's really cute. The pattern was interesting because it's one of the really old patterns that it's just tissue paper in shapes. There's no writing or markings on the paper. All there is just little holes in the paper to show like where there's darts or for the Grainline. It's really interesting. If you're into vintage fashion, I really encourage you to go look up like 1930s or 1940s patterns and try to make one, because it's a really different experience. So yes, if I make this again, I think I would probably do like a little pleat at the top rather than gathers. And also this, I have a little safety pin at the bottom because it only has 2 buttons. It has one there and then another one. But it's meant to be worn with like a really high-waisted skirt, and I don't have any skirts or pants that are that high-waisted, so I think I'm gonna have to put like another button on there, which isn't a huge deal. But yeah, and this is Liberty Tana Lawn in the Betsy print in the red colorway. And I love this. I love this print. I feel like my grandma or my great-grandma, I think either one of them would have worn this. So yeah, I really like it. I would like to try to make some more vintage patterns, like authentic vintage patterns. It's really challenging though, and I have to kind of be in the right mood for that. Sorry, the male ladies here. Oh, so I did my hair today. The only thing about doing these videos, like, you can't see what the hair looks like in the back. Sometimes it looks even better. Yeah, so that's all I have to share with you today. Next on my sewing machine is the vintage shirt dress by Sew Over It. It's nearly finished, and I love the way it looks. It looks so 1940s, and I feel like Mrs. McCarthy from Father Brown. If you're into 1940s, 50s fashion, that's a really, it's a really fun show on Netflix anyways, but I want to be Mrs. McCarthy someday, and I feel like this dress, yeah, I feel like Mrs. McCarthy. Anyway, yeah, that's next, and probably not going to talk about what else I want to make because it's going to change. So yes, I will see you again next month. May should be lots of summery, floral, girly things. So yeah, I will see you next month. Bye.